I don't know where to start with horror news, as there's been a ton of horror news between episodes. There's about 10 million ways I can go with this issue. I could talk about Halloween Kills, Scream 6, but I'm going to start off with Terrifier 2. This is a film that a lot of horror fans have been waiting for. It finally has a distributor. The distributor is none other than Bloody Disgusting. That's right, Bloody Disgusting will be distributing Terrifier 2. And here's the thing with this. This film will be going to theaters. Unlike the first film, this will be in theaters. Then, this film will be hitting Bloody Disgusting's streaming service, Screambox, this fall. All this is happening this fall. The film will open nationwide this Halloween season before streaming exclusively on Screambox. More details coming. Finally, some great news on this film. The film will also have its world premiere at Fright Fest UK, which is set to take place August 25th through August 29th. So we would probably get an advance review or two of this before this hits theaters here in the US. So this is going to be a very interesting film. Now, here's the thing I kind of don't understand here. I'm a fan of home media releases. There was no mention of a possible home video release of Terrifier 2. It doesn't mean it might not happen. It could happen. But I don't know what to think. I would have liked to have known more if there was going to be a home video release. I really hope somebody would clarify that up for me, because I would like to collect this film in physical media as well as seeing it on streaming, because I'm physical media 100%. And I want the whole series in my hands. I have the first film in physical media form. I'm hoping to get the second film in physical media form as well. But I don't know what Screambox does or Bloody Disgusting does with their release plans. It's going to be interesting because there's also an It documentary coming to Screambox as well. So I have no idea what their release plans are for this film. To me, I wish this was picked up by Shudder, because at least I would have known that this film would get a Blu-ray release. Just so much gray area here. Seriously. As a physical media collector, I like to collect films. I like to have the films in my hand. And there was no clarity towards a physical media release of Terrifier 2. If this is just a streaming release, then I'm not going to be happy, quite frankly. Because personally, I like to have the films in my hand. And this is too important of a horror film for it to just be a streaming film only. I don't like streaming films. I only like them basically as backups in case you lose a copy or the copy's damaged. But I'm hoping there's a physical media release of Terrifier 2 that is coming in the future. But at least it's getting a theatrical release, which is very good for an independent horror film like this one. But knowing my luck, it'll probably never play the Providence area, as indie horror films don't have a good track record of playing in the Providence area. And sticking with Terrifier 2 news, there's rumors of the running time being 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's right, 140 minutes, everyone. Sounds like they want to be like the finale of Stranger Things Volume 2, which I think is still going on as we speak. I don't know. A 2 hour, 20-minute slasher film. Terrifier 2 has been one of those films that's been very interesting, because we were supposed to get this film last year. We didn't get it. This film was supposed to be done, I think, in 2020. We didn't get it. And when the dust settles, it looks like it's going to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's a rumor, everyone. Not a fact, a rumor. If it's not so, okay, it'll be very interesting, considering a slasher film of this caliber has not gone over 2 hours. We're talking like 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's going to be a very interesting film if the reports are true. I don't know if you can keep up the action for 2 hours and 20 minutes for a slasher film. But if it's bonkers like the first Terrifier, then it should be no problem at all. Now, there's more horror news I can get to here. I could talk about Rob Zombie's The Munsters. I can talk about John Carpenter and his thoughts on Halloween Kills. And I mean, this trumps them all. This news trumps them all. Samara Weaving will be in Scream 6. That's right, Samara Weaving will reunite with Radio Silence for Scream 6. That's according to an exclusive at bloodydisgusting.com. You knew this was gonna happen sooner or later. They had a relationship with her from Ready or Not. And in fact, I was kind of surprised she was not in the original Scream reboot, quite frankly. Because I really thought she would have been the star of the original Scream reboot. But that didn't happen. Here's the other interesting thing about this here. There's also another star from Ready or Not that will be in Scream 6. Henry Czerny. You know, the matriarch in Ready or Not. He's also going to be in Scream 6 as well. So you got Samara Weaving and Henry Czerny. If I'm pronouncing it right. If I'm not, I apologize. Joining the cast of Scream 6. Also in this exclusive report, Tony Revolori from the recent Spider-Man films, Far From Home, Homecoming, and No Way Home, will also be joining the Scream 6 cast. So that's 2 big names there. You got one name from the Marvel Universe, and you got Samara Weaving, who's been in countless horror films recently, like the Babysitter films and Ready or Not. So, this cast is looking great for Scream 6. Now, there's also another thing about Scream 6. There are rumors going around that Neve Campbell may be back for Scream 6 after all. I don't know what is going on with that situation, seriously. In fact, there are rumors that she may be in Scream 6 and Scream 7. After saying she will not be in Scream 6, there now chatter that she may be in Scream 6 and Scream 7. Will you make up your mind, please, Neve? Because I don't get why these people like to play these games. Seriously. We just talked about the Sasha Banks Naomi thing, I believe, last episode. Where, are they still in WWE or are they not? It looks like they're gone from WWE. Because Sasha Banks has taken a Comic-Con booking. But, back to horror here. We're saving the wrestling after this. Is Neve Campbell gonna be in Scream 6 and 7 now? Or isn't she? I don't like it when these celebs play these games. Seriously. It's just frustrating. Let us know if you're in or out. Make it easy on us. So we can get on with our lives. And so I can go complain about Jason Blum or something else. Because the fact that I'm still talking about Neve Campbell and her possible involvement in Scream 6 and possibly Scream 7. After last episode, after she was saying she was out of Scream 6. It's getting to be a little tiresome here. I would just like to focus on the new cast. But whatever. Seriously. Enough. Moving on to wrestling news. It's like this topic will not go away. Seriously. And I'm not trying to be funny here. As we keep getting more allegations about inappropriate behavior from WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, who's currently suspended from being chairman, and the news ain't getting any better for him. in a report that was posted on Deadspin.com, as there are 3 more allegations of inappropriate behavior, including one with a former WWE women's wrestler, who he demoted then released. He ended up having to pay $7.5 million for that NDA, meaning non-disclosure agreement. He also had to pay out $2.5 million to 2 other women. On top of that, when does this end? Seriously, this disgusting behavior, when does this end? I don't want to be talking about this on my podcast, but this is Vince McMahon. I have to talk about this. This is disgusting. And the sad thing is, it might not be over yet, as the Wall Street Journal is still investigating that there may be more claims out there. Really, if there's more claims out there, he has to go. How can he still be in charge of WWE? Because that sounds to me like that's a toxic workplace environment where, especially the first 2 allegations, has toxic work environment all over it. How can Vince McMahon survive this? I know it's his board that's doing the investigation, but sooner or later, NBC, Fox may draw a line as to how much they are willing to stick with this, especially when there's a new TV contract renewal around the corner. It can't get any more worse for Vince McMahon. And we've already seen one major company put their foot down when it comes to Vince McMahon, as Netflix had a Vince McMahon documentary in the works until they pulled it off due to these allegations. Meaning, they're done. They're not airing this documentary. They want no part of Vince McMahon. They're the first major company that wants no part of Vince McMahon, as they reportedly pulled the documentary from their schedule, which was in development. They're the first company to pull out of something WWE related. If this gets any worse, I would not be surprised if sponsors for Raw or SmackDown pull their sponsorship for their products, quite frankly. Because companies don't want to be attached to this kind of behavior. I still stand by my prediction last episode that Vince McMahon will be gone from WWE this year. He will not survive this year. I have this feeling he's not surviving this at all. If you got 4 allegations and possibly more out there, he may not survive this one. Moving on. Ring of Honor is set to have their next pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, this weekend. And this is shaping up to be a very good pay-per-view. It's something not to sleep on. Seriously. As I've already purchased this pay-per-view, as I'm really looking forward to this card. Even though there hasn't been much build to this card, the matches on this card so far are worth the pay-per-view alone. You have the ROH Women's World Championship match, Mercedes Martinez versus Serena Deeb. You have the ROH World Tag Team Championship match, FTR versus the Briscoes in a 2 out of 3 falls match. That is the match that I'm most looking forward to on this card. If that match at Super Card of Honor was great, I really think this match could top it. You have the ROH Pure Championship on the line. Wheeler Yuta defense against Daniel Garcia. You have the ROH World Television Championship match, Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal. And just announced on Rampage this past Friday, Jonathan Gresham will defend the Ring of Honor World title against Claudio Castagnoli. I cannot wait for this card. It's only 5 matches announced so far, but I'm a big Ring of Honor fan. I cannot wait for this card at all. This is a card that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I'm telling you right now. You got Jonathan Gresham versus Claudio Castagnoli, which I think will be a very good match. I think Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta will be a very good match. And you got FTR versus the Briscoes in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which you know it's probably going to be a great match. I don't know how they're going to top their match of the year candidate, but they've got a good shot with this match. 2 out of 3 falls stipulation match. Usually these matches are very good. I cannot wait for this pay-per-view this weekend, as Ring of Honor is finally back with a brand new logo, which I like a lot, and a brand new mindset. And we'll probably find out more in the coming days on what happens with Ring of Honor, as this is going to be a big show for the new Ring of Honor, as we'll probably find out what the future lies for Tony Khan running Ring of Honor, as it's looking like it's going to be a newsworthy show. And with that, that's the news.
Welcome to Dark Discussions, your place for the discussion of horror film, fiction, and all that's fantastic. A weekly podcast where the discussion is about the most recent horror and genre films. Intelligent talk on a genre that deserves intelligence. A conversation between co-hosts discussing not only the film, but also the connotation that the directors and screenwriters are trying to articulate. When you want more than a review, listen to Dark Discussions.
And speaking of perception, there's just one more scene I want to talk about, which is after Caleb discovers that Kyoto's a robot. Kyoto kind of peels off her skin, showing him what's underneath.
Now, wait a minute. I know where you're going with this, but tell me you weren't already thinking this 15 minutes earlier in the film. Exactly what he's thinking at that moment.
Which is he's a robot too.
Oh, I considered the possibility.
Right, and that's what I like, is the fact that the writers were smart enough to know that this is what the audience would be thinking.
We've all seen Blade Runner.
Right, exactly.
www.darkdiscussions.com, wherever podcasts are found.
The following commentary represents the views of Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show, and not of the Dark Discussions Network, meaning it's the views of mine and mine only. Welcome back. This is something I really wanted to get off my chest for a while, and that is Season 4 of Stranger Things. Overall, I thought this was a very good season of Stranger Things. Even though it was 7 episodes, I thought the show did a very good job providing some very good episodes, providing some good suspenseful moments. The Duffer Brothers did a great job, I think, with the season, with the way that they wrote everything. I like how they developed the characters, continued their stories very well, and everything was good. I have to admit, it was good. It was fun to watch, and literally, this was one of those seasons where it just moved at a very fast pace. But then again, Season 4 had 9 episodes spread into 2 volumes. Now, I know everyone's crying about someone's certain death or a certain character who may or may not be dead and be pissed off about it. But me, that stuff doesn't bother me, because in order for television shows to work, you need characters to be on the edge of death and everything. You need some suspense. You need to off characters when you have to off characters to keep the show going, because you cannot have shows where everybody survives and runs from one adventure to the next adventure. Because if you had that, there's no suspense, there's no unpredictability, and it just doesn't make a show interesting when you just have characters going from one place to the next. every season. After a while, it gets so tiring. So when Stranger Things Season 4 came out, I was so excited. Wasn't excited that we're getting 7 episodes, but was very excited and was happy that it succeeded in what it accomplished, as there were some really great action, like I said before. Plus, it really had some very good storylines. Now, back to what I was saying. I know people are whining about someone's death or a beloved character who may or may not be dead. But me, I'm not whining about neither of those things. The thing that I'm whining about is the episode length for every episode this season. Seriously, it felt like I watched 7 movies. Count them, 7 movies. Not 7 episodes. They were 7 movies. For example, I'll tell you all the running times for each episode. Chapter 1, The Hellfire Club, 78 minutes. Chapter 2, Vince's Curse, 77 minutes. Chapter 3, The Monster and the Superhero, 63 minutes. And yes, anything over 60 minutes is considered a feature-length film, everyone. Chapter 4, Dear Billy, 78 minutes. Chapter 5, The Nina Project, 76 minutes. Chapter 6, The Dive, 75 minutes. Chapter 7, and the season finale of Volume 1, The Massacre at Hawkins Lab, 98 minutes. Now on to Season 2, Volume 2 of Stranger Things. Chapter 8, Papa, 85 minutes. In Chapter 9, The Piggyback, 139 minutes. I am not making this up. 139 minutes for your season finale episode. Are you kidding me? I could have watched 9 movies. And I still swear to this day that Stranger Things Volume 2 is still going on. Seriously, it's the volume that never ends. Because that was pretty much 4 hours for 2 episodes. Yeah, that's right. And if you put it in the way I felt, it felt like 6 hours. Seriously. It could still be going on as we speak. Because that's just lunacy. Not even when David Lynch brought back Twin Peaks: The Return about 4 or 5 years ago, that he did an episode that lasted over 2 hours. Or did a binge watch that lasted 4 hours. Sure, the whole season was one big 17-hour film. But every episode of Stranger Things was a movie. These weren't episodes. I like to see shows in episodic format, not movie format. Because quite frankly, that's 9 less movies I've seen this year. Don't get me wrong. It's a great show. Season 4 was great. But the way they formatted this season was ridiculous. I've never seen a show do that. Have its episodes all be like movies. If I wanted episodes to be like movies, I'd watch a whole bunch of movies at once. And the way that Netflix rolls these episodes out, you're watching these for 6, 7 hours at a time, and you probably get through 3, 4, 5 episodes? I don't get it, Netflix. Seriously. Netflix, the Duffer Brothers, I do not need season 4 to have a movie-like format where every episode is a movie. It really destroys the television experience for me. Stranger Things is an episodic TV show. It is not an episodic movie. You're not making movies. Guys, you are making a TV show. When David Lynch did Twin Peaks The Return, he approached it as a movie. But every episode was at least 60 minutes. With the exception of maybe the first couple weeks. And the season finale. This was like 70 minutes here, 75 there, 2 hours, 19 minutes. And it might still be going on as we speak. I don't want to see episodic TV shows be movies. If I wanted to see a 2-hour movie, I'd watch a movie, not a 2-hour episode of a TV show. Seriously. The lengths just killed me. Because now, with Volume 2, I had to watch 4 hours straight. Because I was pretty much left with no choice. Because it's not like you can watch Episode 8, then wait a day, go on to Episode 9. You had to watch both of them at once. And that was 4 hours. 4 hours for 2 episodes. That's ridiculous. Seriously. While you people are complaining about a character's death and a beloved character who may or may not be dead, I'm complaining about episode lengths because I want my TV shows to be 60 minutes or less, not 75, 85, 139. Come on. I really hope season 5 does not have these super length episodes. Please. Because I like to watch 3 or 4 episodes at a time, not 1 or 2. It defeats the purpose of binge watching. And if you're gonna do it that way, then just do it weekly, not all at once. Because, quite frankly, this season should have been done weekly. It would have been more better that way. Instead of having a bunch of 70-minute episodes released and a 4-hour season finale that spans 2 episodes. That's all I gotta say. I don't like long episodes. Don't get me wrong. Stranger Things Season 4 was great, but I did not need to see 9 movies because that's what I saw in Season 4 of Stranger Things. 9 movies, not 9 episodes. And episodic television is not meant to be episodic movies. Welcome back to Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show. I'm Anthony T. I'm here with Phillip Perron of Dark Discussions Podcast, as we're here to talk about the upcoming Scares That Care Charity Weekend 8 that takes place July 29th through the 31st in Williamsburg, Virginia at the Doubletree by Hilton Williamsburg. How's everything going today, Phillip?
Hi, Anthony. Everything's going pretty good. It's a beautiful day out, and yep, fun weekend.
Tell everyone about Scares That Care.
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, it's run by a man named Joe Ripple, who's a retired police officer, but also was a movie director for a number of years as a B film horror stuff out of the Maryland area. And when he retired as a police officer, he's not too much older than myself or you, he decided to take his love for horror, having done directing himself, and also helping people as a police officer, to work hand in hand. And he formed this charity group called Scares That Care Charity. Very good name. You know, horror is supposed to be scary, but this is a charity, so he cares, and we care, and everybody who works in their time on it and whatnot cares. And so what he used to do was go to conventions and promote the charity, and that's how Dark Discussions podcast met him, because Horror Realm Charity in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, co-host Mike of the podcast met him there and interviewed him for our podcast. And then a couple years later, he was able to get enough notice for the charity that he was able to now do a convention. And the convention, all the proceeds go to the charity, and the charity then gives that money to some people, a child with an illness, a breast cancer survivor, and a burn victim survivor. So generally 3 people per year. And the original was on in Maryland, where Joe is based. But then he moved it down to Williamsburg, Virginia, and it's been there ever since, except for 2020 because of COVID. And the early charity, he had to make sure that they broke even and stuff. And so it was always considered maybe they'll continue the convention, but then what happened was each year it just kept on growing and growing, and there's been a loyal fan base that goes to the convention, as well as a group of talent that continue to appear at the convention as well and give discounts to be there and stuff. So that's pretty much the history behind the charity, Anthony.
Now, Dark Discussions has always been there every year?
That is correct. We've had a presence there since the beginning. So sometimes we were there as podcasters, because they used to do live podcasting from the show, and then we were there as tables. So we would have a table there to help promote the podcast and things of that nature. So yeah, we've been there right from the beginning as attendees.
And speaking of tables, we will have a table over at the convention this year.
Yes, that's right. We did last year as well, and a couple of years prior to that. But yes, the Dark Discussions News Network will have a table there representing the podcast from the convention, including the original podcast of the network called Dark Discussions Podcast, but also numerous spin-offs, as well as your 2 podcasts that you do. And so we'll have about 5 different people working the table. Myself, co-host Mike of the Dark Discussions Podcast, co-host Barrett from the Dark Discussions Podcast, yourself, and then Barrett's wife will be there as well to help work the table.
So we will be there all weekend long, and this has a very good lineup for Scares That Kid this year, as this has a headliner of the E.T. reunion, which I think is going to bring in a lot of people.
Yeah, I would concur. Also, some big names that I haven't seen at conventions before are going to be there as well, such as Barbara Hershey, among many others. And the E.T. thing itself is most certainly one that would be of interest to any crossover fan from horror to science fiction.
Yeah, and I believe it's celebrating an anniversary this year, I think, too, as well.
Oh, how about that?
As I believe it's its 40th anniversary. Yes, 1982. Yep, 40 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw that at the theaters when I was a little boy.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on cable. You also have a Cujo reunion, too.
Yeah.
How about that?
Good. Yep. That's pretty cool. So, Dee Wallace, right?
Yep, Dee Wallace from both films.
Yep.
The E.T. reunion also has Henry Thomas, also on the popular Netflix show The Haunting of Hill House. You also have other E.T. cast members, Robert McNaughton and Casey Mottell.
And Dee Wallace, too.
And Dee Wallace. I think I did mention her.
Yeah.
We did mention her.
Yeah, but we were talking about her for Cujo. But yeah, she's going to be there for E.T. as well.
Yep. She'll be there for E.T. as well. Also, don't forget we have Danielle Harris, who's the headliner.
Shawnee Smith, Stephen Williams.
Yep. Shawnee Smith, Stephen Williams.
Yep.
Harvey Stevens.
Yeah, that played the...
speaking of Stephen Williams, he's mostly known for 21 Jump Street, that, and Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday. You have Andrew Didikoff from Wishmaster. You have Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's. You also have the Count Gore, Duvall, Jay Goody, Barbara Hershey, Danny Lloyd from The Shining, Keir Smith. You also have John Anderson as well. Can't forget about him.
Right, yep, can't.
You also have an author's block as well.
Yep.
Then on Friday night after the convention, there's a mini performance from Arthur Vautier and a sideshow act, Carnival. You also have a film festival this year that's featuring some films such as... also have a film festival this year that features films such as Bloody Summer Camp, starring Felissa Rose and David Sheridan. Straight Edge Kegger, which is a very good film. I definitely recommend that film, which I think you can also find on Shudder as well. And a bunch of other films too, as they brought back the film festival this year, which is a good thing. As for panels, we don't know what panels are happening, but I'm assuming there'll probably be an E.T. panel, a Women of Horror panel. Trying to think of what other panels.
Maybe a Cujo panel.
Cujo panel. Men of Horror panel.
Yep. Maybe a Friday the 13th panel, because there's a couple actors from that.
Oh, yeah. You're right about that, yes.
Yeah, and then there'll be
we're just guessing on the panels. We don't know anything.
Yeah, but the Women of Horror panel may be very interesting, because it would have Barbara Hershey and Shawnee Smith, along with the regulars like Felissa Rose and things like that.
And Danielle Harris.
Oh, Danielle Harris, yeah. And,
Felissa Rose is not at this convention.
Yeah, she's just in the movie that they're showing there. But
yeah, just at the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would have Barbara Hershey, Dee Wallace, Shawnee Smith, Danielle Harris. So that's a pretty good lineup of four Women of Horror right there.
But you were just speculating on what the panels are.
Yes, this is complete speculation. Yep.
Because by the time this is out, they probably release the panel schedule.
That's right.
Which I really wish they'd release maybe like a week or two before. But
yes.
But still, it's going to turn out to be a very good show anyway.
Right. Yeah, they could have child actors too, because they're going to have
Danny Pinto.
Yeah.
That would be another good one. Danny Lloyd, Javi Stevens.
That's right.
That's another really good panel. We're just speculating on panels here.
That's right.
And there'll probably be some other things going on as well during the convention, because I know they did seminars last year.
That's right. And then on the Thursday, the 28th, they have a pool party film. And I forget what film it was supposed to be this year.
I think it's Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so they got a lot of things going. And they also got the 5K run on Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's right. I'm hoping to do that.
You'll never see me run. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Not with these feet, I'll tell you.
All right.
If I could run, maybe. I can't.
I think 5K is 3.2 miles, I think.
Yeah, so...
I'm not too good with the metrics.
Yeah, they have a very good lineup. I have to admit, they did a very good job a couple years ago. I really cannot wait to go back there. The staff in that place is very nice. The prices are reasonable. Definitely come down to the Hilton Doubletree over in Williamsburg, Virginia, if you're in the Virginia area that weekend. You will love it, this convention. For sure.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely not convenient for a lot of folks, because again, you only can have it at one spot, And a lot of people have to drive, and it's deep in Virginia rather than near D.C. But Williamsburg itself has a lot to do besides the convention, so you could even make it into a whole family trip, and after the convention or before the convention, do Williamsburg Historical Village or Busch Gardens or various other things. So
yeah, there's a lot of things to do in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Indeed, there sure is. Yeah.
So this is shaping up to be, I think, one of the better conventions, quite frankly, because of the lineup.
Yeah, the lineup's not too bad.
We had a couple of cancellations.
Yes, you did.
Unfortunately, but those are the breaks when it comes to conventions.
Yes, it is. It does. It is a break. But as we mentioned, it's now only 11 days before the Creature from the Black Lagoon movie.
As of this recording.
Yeah, as this recording, because we're recording on July 17th. The thing is that right now, even with those two cancellations, as you mentioned, the list is pretty good, especially if you're into photo ops and things of that nature.
Yeah, they've got a really good selection of photo ops this year.
Yep, they sure do.
I may do a couple. I haven't decided yet.
Oh, how about that? That's good. Yeah. I don't know if you have to buy them in advance or not. Do you know?
I believe you do, but okay. I'm not sure when the cutoff is.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not familiar either.
So, but this is I think a very good lineup. You're also gonna have like Father Evil there. He's always there.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And there's also another vendor people should check out, the HSPPA, the Horror and Sci-Fi Prop Preservation Association, as they will also be there as one of the vendors. They'll be bringing props from Child's Play 2, The Boondock Saints, The Stuff, It Chapter 2, and more. They've got a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, they've been coming now for a few years, and it's like a traveling museum, and it's free, though if you like to give any donations, obviously they do have a little bucket there that you can put donations in, but it's highly entertaining. They allow photography of all the exhibits, and the exhibits are from some very, very, very high profile movies. For example, last year one of the exhibits they had was the bike used by the lead kid in the movie It. So the new movie It. So a lot of cool stuff there. And the Child's Play doll and all that other stuff that was used and stuff. So
yeah, when I was there a couple years ago, they really had some really good exhibits. Also picked up a movie they sold there too. It's Just a Game, which is very good.
Oh, nice.
So that's definitely one of the things people should be checking out. If I wasn't mistaken, it was on the second floor 2 years ago. Was it there last year?
That is correct. Yep, same room. Yep.
It'll probably be in the same room.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it has its own entire room too. So it's pretty cool.
And you don't have to worry about any other vendors in that room.
That's right. Yep.
So literally, it's just a nice private room, like a mini art museum. To put it that way.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, Phil. Well, that pretty much covers this convention.
Yeah. Well, the most important thing, Anthony, is people can meet up with us. We're going to be there too. So get photo ops with us for free. But in all seriousness, we're always willing to meet anybody that listens to our podcast. Always love to greet people that enjoy our topics and discussions. And we'll have a lot of freebies and stuff at the table that folks can go home with.
And I'll be around wearing my Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show shirt. So if you don't see me at the table, I'll be around on the convention floor with the shirt on. So I'll be around.
Indeed. Yep.
Because
and I'll be walking around with just horror shirts or whatever. So, but Mike, co-host Mike, he'll always have a dark discussion shirt on. He always does. Yep.
Like I have my own podcast shirt on.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, it's the best way to promote a podcast.
It sure is. Yep, absolutely.
All right, Phil. Want to thank you again for coming on to this podcast.
Yep, absolutely.
Can't wait to see you there.
Yeah, it's always good seeing you in person. Me and you will actually be commuting together.
Yes.
Down to Virginia. So I'll be in the car with you for a good many hours, and we're going to take our time. And then when we get there, we should all have a blast.
We will. Thank you again for coming on to the podcast, and have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Every day there's a family struggling with hospital bills to care for their sick child who is fighting an illness. There's a woman who is fighting breast cancer and is having trouble making ends meet while paying for their treatment. And there are burn victims that are going through treatments to heal their deep wounds. There is a charity in the horror community that helps these people. Scares That Care is an organization that helps families deal with the bills for their child. They help women get the treatment they need to fight breast cancer, and they help people who are dealing with severe burns get the help they need to heal. Scares That Care is a 100% volunteer organization and 501c3 nonprofit charity that is dedicated to helping these people in fighting real monsters. To find out more information or to donate to Scares That Care, you can go to www.scaresthatcare.org. Every donation helps Scares That Care fight real monsters.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
This is Carrie.
This is Billy.
This is Mr. Bo.
And we are from A Podcast from Beneath. You can catch us every Wednesday wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
You'll find Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show on these social media platforms. On Facebook, Instagram, and the Slasher app at Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling. And on Twitter at Anthony T's Horror. You'll find new episodes on darkdiscussions.com, major podcast providers, and YouTube. What's Anthony T watching? Well, last segment, me and Phillip Perron talked about Scares That Cares Weekend 8. That's happening July 29th through the 31st at the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel Williamsburg, Virginia. Well, I decided to review one of the films that is playing at the Scares That Care Film Festival, Bloody Summer Camp, which was directed by Dave Kerr, who was on my podcast back all the way at episode 27. That was like over 2 years ago, as we talked about Return of the Slasher Nurse and a little about Bloody Summer Camp, the film that I'm about ready to review here on What's Anthony T Watching. Now, this is a film I've been looking forward to for a while, ever since hearing about it through the interview and the fact that Felissa Rose is involved, David Sheridan's involved, both of them from Victor Crowley, so definitely was very interested in this film. I reviewed the extended cut, not the VOD cut. You know, the one that's currently on VOD through various VOD providers. So, I watched the longer version of this film. That's right, 2 hours, 37 minutes. Running time seemed to be a theme on this episode for some weird reason between this and the Stranger Things rant. But let's get back to this film, because no matter what cut of this film you see, this was a very good film. I have to admit, this was better than the slasher nurse films. And one of the things that I really liked about this film was the fact that this had an 80s type feel to it. From the kill scenes, to the action, to certain characters, this had the feel of an 80s slasher film. One of the things that I really liked about this film, besides the feel of this film, was the fact that this film had a very good cast. I liked how the cast approached their roles. They made their characters fun in a good way, that you're entertained, that you're into the film. And it also helps that Dave Kerr does a very good job making sure those performances have that type of feel to them. Because this is supposed to be an 80s throwback slasher film. And he does a great job making sure this is an 80s throwback. I was having fun watching this film, even though it may have been a little too long with the 2.5 hour cut. But when I finally see the end cut, the 2 hour cut of this film, I will probably like it even more. But I really liked it a lot. It also has some very good performances from its main cast, as this didn't feel like it needed to rely on Felissa Rose or Dave Sheridan, as the cast really does a good job making the characters fun to watch. Kerr's screenplay was also very good. I like the fact that Kerr does a very good job here keeping the action moving, whether it's the kill scenes or whether it's the way he develops the characters in this film. I like the fact that he spent some time developing them, which really, I think, made this a very good film. It got me interested in everything that's going on. And that's what you want in a slasher film. You want characters who are fun to be with. Not annoying characters or stupid characters that you just don't want on your screen. You want characters that you're going to like. And I have to say, I liked about every one of them in this film. And it's a credit to Dave Kerr's writing, as he does a very good job with the way he handles his characters in this film and in his screenplay. Because you need a screenplay where characters are entertaining enough that it keeps you interested in the story. And Kerr does a great job doing this. Definitely find a way to check Bloody Summer Camp out, whether it's at the Scare That Care Film Festival or on VOD through various VOD providers, as you're able to rent it through them at the moment, as Bloody Summer Camp is one summer camp is worth attending and enrolling for those who love slasher films. Upcoming episodes of Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show. The next episode, I will be talking to a couple of filmmakers from the horror anthology film Death by Midnight, Why to Kill. Then episode 82, I said would be a best of. I forgot WWE was running SummerSlam early this year. So, that's 82. WWE SummerSlam. 83's up in the air right now. Could be a best of, could be a guest. It depends what guests I can get. On my other podcast, Two from Hell, don't forget to check out episode 3, where me and Andrew talk about our 3 favorite summertime horror films, along with Ghostbusters news and Scream 6 news about Neve Campbell. Check that out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. That'll do it for this edition of Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show. Don't forget to like Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show on Facebook, Instagram, and the Slasher app at Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling. On Twitter at Anthony T's Horror. You can also find the podcast and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and any other major podcast platforms. With that, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Have a good day, support indie wrestling, and support indie horror.